Hi there, guys. It's Celine. It's Tuesday, the 13th in the afternoon, 3:30 of sorts. And I thought I was kind of due to come out and show my face again, for the good that it may do. I've got myself a cup of instant, and I have a couple of things too that I can maybe talk about. Maybe not everything, but we will see where we get. Actually, I have a little follow-up on my set of 2 videos that I did last week. I even thought of making this into a separate, like number 3 episode to the Little Inner Child series. I have probably a cut here somewhere. It's just like nearly invisible, and it just gets the 3rd installment. Okay, on my inner child business. What I did is I showed you guys this last week a few times. This is a picture of me when I was 4 years old or thereabouts. And I'd been working with Botswana agate, with rose quartz. I've been doing tarot readings, or a larger tarot reading that's actually affected me quite a bit. With respect to this inner child, that you see here, and that I am trying to, give more room in my life. I'm trying to find the person I was back then, and sort of have her come out more in my life. It's actually working because, but a lot of stuff has happened, and a lot of, developments have come over the top of this. And I wanted to show you what I did here with this photograph. As you can see, there was a bit of a synchronicity happening again. This is a piece of Kunzite, which turns out to be a really beautiful vibrational type stone. And I made a little fishnet out of 4 bits of thread here, just knotting them over, going back and forth, knotting them into a little fishnet to hang the stone, because it's not a pendant, it's just a piece of stone there, just a raw crystal, and then hung that onto the photograph. It was actually very easy to see that something actually happened in terms of vibration as soon as I did this. Today's Tuesday. I did this on Saturday morning, and I sort of sensed the shift. Kunzite is a really powerful, beautiful stone, and the synchronicity was that I'd actually seen an unboxing of somebody's, present that they got on YouTube, and they showed a very similar to this one piece of Kunzite on their vlog about that, on their chat, and I went like, hey, I've got another one that's just like that. So let me go off and try to see if I can find it, because I've got a gazillion crystals all over the house. They do live in specific places, so I actually was really lucky to be able to just go to my box where I thought it would be, open the box, and boom, right there in the middle was my piece of Kunzite. So yay for that. That was excellent. So it has a really powerful, like a high level heart chakra, heart energy kind of vibration. More so, it's a more spiritual, more surrender motivated than rose quartz will be, and I think more so than any of the other crystals I've tried to work with in this respect. It turns out that this is actually rather powerful. It has putting the stone onto the photograph like this, where it just hangs onto the photograph all the time, has provided me with a very deep, clear and open and positive connection with who I really was at that age. So I'm stunned, really. I've had little moments of actual even memories, or where I could sort of sense inside myself a sort of a realigning away from, the person I've grown up to be, who's always been about self-control, really, always about not letting them see that they get to you, kind of a deal. Always, staying away, staying out of trouble, staying out of trouble. Oh, yeah. And this girl that I used to be at that age and never again afterwards, really, it wasn't that she didn't care. She was just too small to really know the difference. She didn't know about right or wrong or about safe and unsafe. But she was adventurous and she loved life. So I think it's important for me to say that to you, as it has been. And the connection to the adventurousness and the open-mindedness, mindedness, and the confidence, really, without any struggle, really. That's what this is giving me. So I'm really pleased with that, and it's really a part 3 to my whole inner child adventure here. And since this has been sitting here, I'm going to put it back in the stand for all these days now. I feel like it's fine. I'm leaving it on for indefinitely for now. It's not going to be on, the stone isn't going to be on the photograph forever. The photograph isn't also going to sit in my living room like this forever. But for now, it's really fine. So I'm really pleased with that. I have used, what else have I used? I've placed a few other crystals in front of the photograph that's just sitting in this piece of, it's actually a piece of, that they use to hang curtains in, smaller curtains, like a metal. Let me just show this to you instead of rambling about this. I will just get this. I've shown this before, but it's a while ago. So this is like a contraption that's just, a rails that you can stick curtains in. Normally you stick this to the ceiling and your curtain rings go in there. And I've had several pieces of this stuff sitting around the house. And with a bit of, duct tape right there, I can stick cards in here. Normally this is where card of the day lives, or, things like that. So that's how this works for now. I'm going to put that back in there. I've decided also to do my cards of the day in Marseille Tarot, because I've got Joe of Bendov's book about Tarot de Marseille, and it's of course most logical to use a deck in this style, at least. With the book, it makes more sense. So I've been doing that. I want also to do more reading in the book because I'm enjoying it hugely. Each time it's like gold. Each time I pull a card and I go to Bendov's, description of the card and his the information that he gives to what the energy is that the card represents. It's gold each time. So that's excellent. So there have been other things going on in terms of psycho-spiritual development. Some of it is a bit, more pending on as to whether I am going to even, talk about these things. At this point, it has to do with my husband and I as well, and it's a bit personal, and it's a bit... it sort of has to come to fruition. I've come to a couple of conclusions with my husband, all positive, nothing to worry about. After 34 years of marriage, there just is still territory to cover or to uncover in this case, and things to learn and things that we have to figure out about each other and about ourselves. And sometimes it's just difficult, and it's difficult to have priorities in your life that actually matter to you personally, as well as do the job at hand and be available for clients and be, so on and so forth. So all that is, I'm just going to tie a ribbon around it and, you know, put it on the shelf for now. I've had a couple of other interesting synchronicity-like things where I've found out for the probably 500th time in my life that whenever I am, you know, lacking in energy during, for whatever reason, especially when there have been discussions and emotional things and nervous, you know, effort type things. I need grapefruit juice, freshly squeezed grapefruit. And I tend to forget that I need that because I'm stupid that way. However, I finally found a web page where they tell you a bit more about the whys and wherefores of grapefruit. And I believe it's a California therapeutic practice. Somebody's got a practice where they've got this stuff online. So I'll put the link in the description about the grapefruit. And the funny thing was that we were on a walkie also on Saturday. I just, you know, pressed my last of the grapefruits and was feeling slightly better. And we were going to go to the shop to get more. And in the little park over there where we were at that point, there was a woodpecker that we could actually see sitting, you know, on the tree trunk like that and knocking and making the hammering sound that the woodpecker is known for. And then later, looking on this web page, which you will see down below, you know, if you look at it, there's a connection between the grapefruit and the woodpecker for some reason. Don't ask me why, because I don't know. I don't see why this is at all. But I thought it was really funny. Yesterday I went to the shop to get me a couple of things and also a few more of those grapefruits because I'd gotten through them. And I'm in line at the cashier with my grapefruits and whatever else it was that I was taking along, you know. And in front of me, at the client before me in the shop, the customer before me in line, had a big shopping bag with a woodpecker on the bag, and it said woodpecker, like in this big huge font like that. Like, and I'm staring at the bag, and slowly my brain goes tick 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 tick. Hey, woodpecker and grapefruits again? What's the point? I don't know. I'm just telling you, this is really crazy and silly and funny in a way. So here's to not getting any of this ever, you know. I'm not even pretending anymore that I understand any of this. I just thought it was really fun. So the other fun and cool thing that I'm so proud of, I actually got this massive boy to stick all my astrology intel in. So I've got like, oops, this is why I hadn't done this before, because I don't really like all the big flappy things because they get in the way. But to show you, I have to do it this way a bit, you know. I even got the little cardboard sheets that you put in between so as to know where you're at. I've very recently, I've had two big astrology sort of subjects that I've been working on or working with over the past month or so. The one had to do with my friend with her Nordic, typical Nordic chart with a lot of, you know, interceptions, things happening that sort of deactivate parts of her chart, which has explained a lot of stuff about our relationship, the friendship we have, the way she tends to react has just become a lot clearer to me, how this really works thanks to this chart I have of her. And so that's interceptions in astrology, really cool. And now I'm into asteroids. So it's, yeah, it's interesting. I haven't really got enough intel to share as yet, but I've done a couple of printouts where, let me see, this is one of mine, and this is probably my fates and chaos. Yes, so there's asteroids, three asteroids, three separate asteroids that have to do with fate, with the fates, the three spinning ladies that have to do with your fate, each of them. There's also a Moira asteroid that sort of stands for the whole of destiny. There's an asteroid whose name is Chaos. So I just put him in there because there has to be some chaos in there, because there is, so yeah. And I picked different sets of, I'm trying to do this with my left hand, that's never going to work. Different sets of asteroids depending on what kind of subject matter I'm looking at. So the whole fates thing is a separate chapter. There is a set that has to do with relationship male-female things that I did for me and my husband. I did these charts on astro.com, where you can just choose all sorts of additional things that you want represented in your horoscope that you're making. So in this case, I get what is this, personal asteroids for me, where I'm looking at themes. I'm using, to the extent that I really know anything about that stuff, knowledge of Greek mythology, basically, mainly, to choose like a set of things. I have always been intrigued by Persephone, Demeter, Ceres, Juno as representations for things other than the traditional, Mars, Jupiter, Mercury deal that you get in astrology. So on top of the Moon and Venus dimension, where the Moon is, of course, a whole different ball game with, lunar apogee, lunar perigee, nodes, and all that stuff. Moon phases can be relevant or can be significant. I'm sort of thinking now with the asteroids as well, that it isn't really about the position of a lump of stone in a particular area of the sky that much. It is what we make of it. And there's interesting things happening. There's funny and weird things that I find it's really intriguing. And probably there's like a gazillion other asteroids that you could pick where nothing much would come out of it. But you pick a story, right? And you're motivated already to pick. There is like a consistency in your life, your personality, your chart, and the stories that you can weave around that. It's like a creative process in a way, much more than, that's the way I look at it today. So I found intel on asteroid astrology as well, also on YouTube. Demetra George is a very knowledgeable person to look up. I've got an hour and a half long session of hers that I still have to watch. That's on YouTube. I will also put that link in the description. But I am super pleased with my big folder thing here, with all my subject matter separated out, because now I've got a whole kit that has to do with my husband's different processes with his ancestors and stuff around that. I've got my historical overview that I made. It's an Excel file that I made. This is just to get an impression over 20-year period, I think, or 25-year period, I think that it was, because I made this a couple of years ago, where I looked at what our planets were doing in terms of, I think Saturn, from Saturn outward. So Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, those four. I looked at how they were moving through those years. So from 1987, when my husband and I got together, onwards, I looked at what those planets were doing, how that affected us, respectively, both of us, in each of our birth charts. So Saturn moving a sign, is that a square to my Mercury, for example, at a point? And then what happened in our lives at that time? And it's not completely obvious, but there are visible correlations. And I am very pleased to be at this end of those 30 years and not halfway in the middle, because there have been difficult times and things that were really difficult to manage. And especially the combinations of things, that has affected us most of all. So it's not Saturn moving to a different sign necessarily, but that plus 3 other things correlating with a couple of other things, and then the pile up, the cumulative sort of effect is what makes astrology really, worth looking at for me. So all that stuff, I've got 2 copies of this file here. This is actually 4 pages, this Excel thing. And I've got my my notes for that as well, and it's all in here. And then I have a couple more exotic. I think this is fixed stars and eclipses and whatever else, tons of stuff. And more charts about different people, progressions in astrology, which is a whole different ballgame, and more background intel, lots of background stuff that's just printouts from the internet about what it means to have moon in Virgo, for example. Just grabbing anything. I do not have moon in Virgo, I have moon in Aries. Just to make that sure, completely clear. So I've got my whole astro kit, everything in this big bundle here, and it's all grouped by subject, or in a way that makes sense to me at least. And I'm so happy, and I can just I can take this along on the road with me if I want to. I can read up on stuff, I can put in more sheets as it goes. I will probably take out stuff also as we progress through time, as I find out that there's stuff in there that I don't really use. And it's got a place to live. Yay! Isn't that just excellent? So, and it's orange, which I thought was pretty excellent. So I've got a red one like this for my creative writing stuff, which is sitting over there, which is basically how I got the idea that, for the 700th time in my life, I find that it actually works for things to have a place to live when you're not really working on them, and to not have sheets of paper lying across across the whole of your universe. Ooh, that's just happened to me all the time. You have to take charge of the paperwork. So that was I did that yesterday, so that's why I'm still very excited about this, because it's like, finally I had this disgusting old cardboard folder that held a ton of charts of people that I never see anymore, and all the background intel. And each time I found a different subject, like my husband's relatives charts in the wintertime, that I had printed out like 10 or 12 charts of different people. They were all really well done and complete, and I was very confident about what it said, and all these weird correlations and things going on. It was really interesting. And that bundle was just tied together with an elastic thingy, and it was sitting over there with a couple of other sheets that don't have anything to do with astrology. So one thing lies in there, another thing is sitting over here, another is this makes me happy. So I've got it all put together now, and that's really it gives me a bit more peace of mind, because So I think that's it, really. I don't think I've got a ton more to report at the moment. I'm not doing anything creative because there was a new moon. I don't know if you noticed, but it has affected me quite a bit. I'm thinking also that my new initiative in this terms of this astrology field is really important to me in my life. I use this all the time. Why don't I put this in a proper decent container, like I should have done 20 years ago. So there's that, but I don't do anything creative at the moment. I don't write or paint or draw anything. I have done quite a bit over the past weeks. All of March and April I spent on my Light of Mary Oracle cards. It's not finished, not by a long way, but it'll just have to be parked for now for a bit. And I'm waiting for better weather. I've actually been in the sun today for quite a bit, so that was real nice. Actually got to warm up my bones a bit, and now it's clouded over again, but they're promising us that the weather will be improving soon enough, so I'm hoping, because it's been really weird weather over the past. I'm not going to complain at you about the weather, that's just too silly, but it's been snowing and there's been hail and cold wind, and it's like Arctic, and we're not used to that. It's April now and it should be, mellowing, it's springtime, and we're not. So far it doesn't really look like it or feel like it. So yeah, so there we go. Sort of a check-in, I suppose, with my things and my crystals and my Kunzite. I'm really impressed with the Kunzite. It's such a gorgeous crystal. And I also dug up pink tourmaline, which is a crystal that I've got a couple of little ones, little pieces of, and to compare to the Kunzite, because it's a completely different animal. And so that's what I've been working with the Botswana agate. I've been wearing the Botswana agate almost all the time. I haven't got it on right now, but I've worn it nearly always over the past days, and so that's going, that's just perfect, Oh, here they are. I was looking for them because I knew they were, sorry for the bump, they were around somewhere. This is a Botswana agate, really beautiful colors. I've actually used photographs of this stone and a photo that I took of my photograph right there, not with the Kunzite, but before that, last week. I've incorporated that in with, my tarot card spread, and incorporated that into my Light of Mary business oracle. Let me see whether I can find the card. It's just to close off here. Thank you. There wasn't supposed to be a thank you there. There was supposed to be a thank you at the end of the session. So this is you'll never be able to make this out. This is a sort of a pink version. In the middle, you can see a dark space, like so. This is actually a photograph of a crypt underneath a church, underneath a cathedral in the place where I went to high school in south of France. That's a photograph that I nicked off the internet. And this is the little me photograph right there that I sort of took a picture of and then incorporated in my paint program on the computer. And it has a version, like a Rider-Waite-Smith version of my spread that I did for my inner child. And each of the cards is in there somewhere so the Wheel of Fortune is in here. Let me see whether I can make that a bit more clear. There's a Wheel of Fortune right there. Can you see that? Hope you can make that out. These are cards in the Moon Baby tarot that I saw people talk about on the tube, and it's just completely my aesthetic, and it totally vibes with the Botswana agate colors, pink and brown. I am all about that. It's just completely perfect here. So there's a Justice card sitting in the middle on the altar in the crypt right there, which I felt was kind of appropriate. And by messing around with these fluffy tints, like so, in the paint program, you can actually keep the sense of the dark space in there, because this one there's hardly any layering over the top of it, and the others all the cards have different levels of pink and pale, caramel colors and that kind of stuff It's not focusing on this, of course, but you know what I mean, more or less, by now, if you're still here. Hi. So that's what I've been doing. I can show you a few more of these just for the heck of it. This is a photograph that I took of my husband standing. This is in Brittany in France. Is it 2 years ago, 2018, whatever? I think so, 2018. So this is a photograph that I basically took with my Wiko phone. So that was like a teeny tiny, like Stone Age smartphone type thing that I used. And you get this really blue glare around all the contrasting light bits in all the images that I took in that with that phone. But I've used that in this series of photographs that I've used for my my card thing here. I've used the blue glare to, you know, sort of create like these orb-like things going on. And there's a little Mary shrine sitting right there in the sort of sunk into the valley floor with a lot of grass around it and trees in the background. And here's the other, an image of this Botswana agate that I showed you just now. And you can, in the paint program, you can actually copy your sticker image, copy it, and then flip it. So to get a mirror version of it. So it looks actually like it's sitting on a water surface like that. So I think that kind of stuff is just plenty fun. And this is another example of me messing around with photographs and with this white orb-like ectoplasm type stuff going on, you know. And there's a shrine in the background over here. And there's this is also the Botswana agate, the same one, sitting in the middle right there with the brown and the lavender colors. This is a slightly more simple, just slightly more simple example of a shrine that has, this is a very old, worn, probably 100 years old or slightly less, Belgian shrine. So if you go from here to Belgium, if you travel 50 kilometers or so over the border in East Flanders, you will find tons of these types of shrines, and we have photographed many of them. And some of them are Lourdes shrines and others are like this one, which is just a very simple brick painted white, little mini, what in Germany they're called Bildstock. So like a picture pole, if you were to translate Bildstock, that's what you get. A picture stick in the, you know, an image stick in the countryside, all over Europe. They're all over. And there's chapels and shrines and things. But this is an example of a roadside shrine that I like very much. And I made a ton of ectoplasm, just going with my, the setting for in the paint that I'm using is either a big brush, like a watercolor brush, or what you do, a spray can type for like graffiti type things. That setting. In white, and then sometimes with tints of grey and blue and green to just create a really freaky kinds of atmosphere here. It looks better in real life, and it doesn't look as good in real life as it would if I were to have a really excellent printer, or if you were to do this on real cardstock or things like that. I don't think it matters all that much. I enjoy working with this stuff hugely. This is nearly 40 of those cards that I've got by now, with all these different types of atmosphere, I'm just showing you these 4 here to give you an idea of where I'm at actually. And because it got really personal again with this thing, with my little me here, I suppose I'm kind of, it's a bit, when it gets, there have been phases before where it got really personal with this card making process, and I just needed to, I need to then take a couple of days off to do astrology, do a bit of ordering and decluttering and read, you know, do normal things, and then I can, you know, get back to this, and I will, because I'm really enjoying the results and combining freaky things together, and it gets more and more, it becomes like its own little world, which is great if you're making oracle cards. If it becomes, it's like it's alive. So yeah. So, and I was hoping to have a project, you know, by halfway through March. I didn't know what to do with myself anymore. And or when was it? First half of March. So I was going like, please, powers that be, please give me a project. Let me think of something to do while all the shops are closed. And so yeah. So that's worked really well. The blue paint is actually a really nice, this looks actually more or less like it really is. It's like a very, it's a powerful kind of blue color, isn't it? It's shiny, like radiant. And this is a pigment that I got in Venice, Italy. That's really, really strong pigment that I mix up with hot water, boiled water, and gum arabic. Make that into a little paint. And then just paint that along the sides of the picture that I've got so far. And there's supposed to be a ton more decoration and, you know, finishing up the cards really. But I'm just taking it one step at a time. So I'm going to buckle this up. Again, thank you for watching, because that was more than half an hour. Looks like 37 minutes. Yeah, okay. Thank you. I'm going to finish my drinkies. Wish you well. Wishing you all the best. Thank you for being here. And, you know, I'll be back sometime or other with whatever else weird what the woodpecker throws at me. Okay? See you then. Thank you. Bye-bye.